everybody, and welcome to another episode of Ed's Auto Garage. This is Ed Arango coming to you like I always do from my garage here in Southern California, Huntington Beach. And today I have a guest that's coming all the way to us from the UK in Aberdeen, where Andy is located. And this is Andy Clegg, and Andy is with the Spirit of Le Mans, and we're going to talk a little bit about what Andy does and the products that he has available on his website. I think those of you that are Porsche fans will really kind of appreciate this and may know of Andy already. But Andy, welcome on to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Sure. So let me give everybody a little bit of info. Andy's website is the Spirit of Le Mans, and what he has is he has access to the traditional, older race-inspired fabric pattern. Andy, is that a correct way to put it?
Yeah, I guess we would call it tartan. In America, you would call it plaid or plaid.
Plaid, yeah.
So we have a few. I think we're up to about maybe 10 different designs of tartan now that are all somewhat inspired by Le Mans or some other racing livery that you know everyone's kind of familiar with. So it's quite familiar colors laid out in a certain way, and people are liking them. So it's quite nice. So and you're right, the Porsche guys are definitely liking them. That's for sure.
Yeah. I mean, and there is a little bit of, if I recall, a little bit of BMW that used a little bit of that as well.
Yeah, so we have so as you like unfold different car brands and such, like you kind of see different colors or whatever that may be. And for the M series cars, they have the three color stripes, the blue, light blue, and the red, whatever. So we've used that in one of the tartans there. It's quite subtle. So if you didn't know M cars, you maybe wouldn't kind of get it, So they're definitely quite niche. That one particularly would be for the BMW people that would catch their eye, Whereas other brand or marks, people might not notice it, But it's a nice tartan. Yeah, it looks good.
So give us a little bit of background. How did you get into this niche or this fabric niche in a sense? I mean, were you involved in the textile business, or
Absolutely
how did this fall into your lap? Hi, everybody. Hope you guys are enjoying today's episode of Ed's Auto Garage. Today's show is brought to you by Arango Insurance Services. Arango Insurance Services is your traditional home, auto, commercial insurance brokerage that specializes in providing insurance to the automotive industry. From exotic and collector cars to private automotive collections to insuring automotive OEM repair shops, restoration shops, automotive component manufacturers, and even dealerships. We write coverages with many of the top carriers, and we can customize a policy to fit your needs. Check us out, Arango Insurance Services at www.arangoins.com or call us at 949-887-1274. Also, we're sponsored by Capta IMS, your no-nonsense insurance agency, management software, and CRM. Capta IMS is for the independent insurance broker to medium-sized agency. Capta IMS is built by insurance professionals for insurance professionals. Visit us at CaptaIMS.com. That is CAPTAIMS.com for more details. And we'll be including the contact information in our show notes. Back to the show.
So what I did prior to Tartan was I did a couple of car apps, like car diary apps. And through a period of unemployment, I was thinking, wow, I really need to find some ways to fund those apps because I can't develop apps, so I was paying other people to do it. And I happened to be at my cousin's wedding in a place called Nairn, and all the guys there, a Scottish wedding, generally guys wear kilts. So I'd had a few beers in, and I was just watching all the guys in their kilts, and I was thinking of ways and means to generate some money to do these apps. And I just looked at some guy's kilt, and I kind of just saw the Gulf colors, the orange stripe and the black. And I just I could just see it on a kilt. I thought, well, that's not a bad idea. And I remember turning to my brother-in-law and says, I've just had this great idea. And he's like, you're a bit drunk. I'm like, yeah, but listen, it's a great idea. You know, I'm going to do some car tartans. And he's like, that's not a bad idea, actually. So at the time, I actually lived away from home, 170 miles away in a place called Glasgow, which is our kind of biggest city in Scotland. And every night I would be just thinking, I'm going to design some tartans. I had a Mac down there with me and working away from home with the family. I just thought, you know what? I'm going to go on the internet. I'm going to find a program. And I really just started dabbling around with different patterns and starting to learn about tartans, really. Because you kind of take it for granted in Scotland. Tartan's just part of, it's just part of the country here. So you don't really give it too much thought, Having been in a Scottish army regiment myself, I used to wear the kilt quite a lot. So I was kind of familiar with the lines and things like that. And I'm a designer for my day job in the mechanical kind of arena. So I just kind of put the two of them together. And I got the first, the Spirit Le Mans, the original one kind of designed, if you like. And I'm like, wow, I've designed tartan. That's great. But the next step really is to try and get some material made so that you can, have that fabric in your hand. And the more you dig into it, it's a bit of a rabbit hole. You kind of jump in and you're like, wow, all of a sudden you're learning about the warp and the weft and the colors and the yarns and how it all comes together. I went to visit a mill. So we have a town, I guess, a large town called Selkirk down in the borders of Scotland. So Glasgow's quite far south. Selkirk's a bit further south, but not too far from where I was located at the time.
Sure.
So I kind of got in touch with this guy who owned a mill. And I'm like, I've got this idea. I've got this tartan. Can we make some material? Just a short amount. I think it was something like either 10 meters or 15 meters. It wasn't very much. So I was like, I'm on a shoestring budget, right? So I'm budgeting for myself. And so I went and visited this guy and went to this mill, really, really old building. I think his dad had started the company in the 60s. He had taken it over when his dad had passed on. And I went into this building and it was really old and there was the clickety-clack of the machines. I've got a video somewhere on Instagram. If you drill down, you can see that video. And the smell of the machines and the oil and it's like, oh my God, it was like in heaven. I ended up staying for like 3 hours and just kind of hanging out there with the guy and kind of learning from him. So that's how we kind of got the first one made. It made it in a Shetland Tweed. So every type of material is different based on the yarns. And so it was good. It was a good learning curve. It was a 3-hour kind of lesson from this guy. And he was really good. He kind of introduced me to the business side of it a little bit and getting some actual fabric made, So yeah, that was quite good.
Wow. So, the fabric, you think about it, you think, just get a piece of fabric and get it in the plaid or the tartan color scheme, depending on the color you want. But the material, the composition of the material that's used to make a scarf is different from the material composition that's used to make fabric to upholster a seat versus to make a pair of shorts or make a pair of pants. You've got all of these different.
Yeah.
So you're it's not only the beautiful colors, but it's also the different grades of fabric.
Applications. Yeah. So I said to the guy is called Robin Elliott who has the mill, and he said to me, "What do you want to do with this tartan material that you're going to have?" And I'm like, I just want to have some tartan material because it'll be cool, and we'll just figure it out from there. But maybe we'll make some bags, or maybe we'll make some kind of product. So car seats weren't really on my radar at the time, and it's like, right, if we're going to do that, we'll go with tweed. Now, you guys may have heard of Harris tweed, which is from the islands off of the west coast of Scotland. It's really, really popular, and it's way up.
It's way up north, right?
Yeah, it's way north and west. So it's like what they call the Outer Hebrides kind of islands, and they have a tradition there of, I guess, hand weaving. So they work the pedals with their feet, and they do all really old school. Excuse me, and they have a real authentic, and they've got their own hallmark and stuff like that. So that's like a lot of tweedy kind of products that they do. So he's like, we'll do something similar to what they do, really old, really traditional. We ended up with what they call the Shetland Tweed, and it's based on the yarn. So that essentially the threads of the yarns that they pull together, that ultimately is what makes what the tartan's going to be, what the material type is going to be. So that was a tweed, a little bit more coarse, You can imagine a tweed scarf thing itchy around your neck kind
Sure.
of thing. So they're all quite different. So we did a tweed. And then as time progressed, I was like, well, it would be nice to see this in some cars. So I had a chance meeting with a lady in Glasgow, again, midweek while I was away from home, who worked for a mill. And this particular mill is actually in the north of England. She's like, well, we could do what they call a polyviscose material. So it's polyester and viscose, mix it together. So it's more man-made fibers. That's really good for car type seats and that kind of application. So I'm like, oh, let's just get some of that. So what I did was I developed the first tartan design I did, and I, essentially applied more lines to it. So if you look at the back, if you look at any of the tartans, without explanation, you won't really see what inspires them. But on the next one, which is the Somme Racing, the same kind of Gulf colors, we have 2 black lines on the outside and then 2 white lines on the inside. Now, if you look at the back of a Singer, you've got 2 big fat black tires and 2 little exhausts right in the middle, right?
Yeah.
So that's kind of where the inspiration came in for those kind of additional lines that we did.
And that's your design. That's your idea, right?
Yeah, well, I guess it kind of is. It's the inspiration obviously comes from something else, and you pull it together, whether it be the Gulf livery colors and maybe a Singer car. You kind of bundle those together, so the 10 tartans that I've done, I've kind of bundled them in a different way. So I've done one that was more based on the Lamborghini and the green and blacks. And so it's just it's almost like just what sparks your interest at the time. And if the timing's right for maybe doing another tartan, think, oh yeah. Or somebody will come along. I mean, I have people come to me all the time saying, can you do a green tartan? I'm like, well, probably. Just like, can I get these ones done first? But then we'll look at it. So it gets on your radar. And then you see something else and you think, oh, actually, there's an idea. If I did this set of lines here, it's lines, right? So it's not rocket science. I don't do rocket science in my day job, but it's not far from that. So it's quite a simplistic kind of design process. My design process, I get a post-it notepad, I have what's in my brain, I sketch it out in pencil, and I stick it on the wall, and I'll leave it there just to kind of fester a little bit. And then someone will say, what about doing it? And I'll post a note and I'll stick it on the wall. And then I'll think, oh, how can I apply it to whatever? So just ponder, and then I'll take the post-it note off one day and I'll say, right, this is going live. So the process to get it to all my tartans, I register them, I guess, so they're authentic. They're registered on the Scotland Tartan Register here, which is a kind of government body that they kind of rubber stamp it. No one tartan can be the same as another tartan, right? So even if you have, when I did, for an example, my Spirit Le Mans Racing, which is the orange stripe one, I want to just do a red version of that. And I put it in, I submitted it, like, here's the plan, here's what I'm going to do. And they're like, no, we're going to reject that. And I'm like, come on, it's different colors. They're like, but it's the line weights and the spacing and all that was exactly the same as a prior one. So they pick up on that and they're like, every tartan must be different, So it kind of keeps it official. It keeps it kind of nice.
So you have the rights. You have the rights to these patterns. One, because you're basically developing the cross pattern look of it.
Yeah.
So how long ago did you start this? When did you start doing this?
And I'm trying to think back to when the first one was, because time goes so fast now, right?
Yeah, sure.
See, during the COVID time was kind of blur. I don't know. It totally went in a blur. So I'm going to say, yeah, it was like 2 weeks ago, but in reality, it was probably 3 years ago. I can't even recall. 2018. I think the first one was sometime in 2018. That's when the first one was kind of registered. And then, so people can go on, if they just Google the Scottish Tartan Register, you can go on that and there's a search facility. So people can go on there and search for whatever. So if you're looking for a black watch tartan, right, which is one that everyone knows, it's like blacks and greens, and it's from the Black Watch Regiment, an old Scottish infantry regiment. So people can go and find that. But when you're in there, so if they just type in Spirit of Le Mans, hit enter, they should come back with a search result of like 10 of mine, maybe 11. I lose count sometimes. So you can go and do that. But it like I say, it gives you that intellectual property protection to some level. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Someone's going to copy it though, right? Everything gets copied eventually. Man, so be it,
Yeah, you'll find something on Amazon from China
exactly.
that'll end up someday. So totally. I mean, I mean, talking up, in reference to the intellectual property. So you've got the martini looking one, right? The color scheme, the retro racing, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that looks very much like Martini and Rossi, like their product.
Totally.
And
I'm surprised they've not called me yet.
Oh, really? Okay.
they probably call me say, excuse me, do you have used our colors? But it's just colors, right? So
sure. Yeah.
But you're absolutely dead right. I mean, that's so if you look at the livery of the Martini Racing, that's absolutely where those colors come from, and that association with car lovers, they're going to get it. And put it this way, I was in the post office the other day, and the girl who works at the post office, she came out. She's like, "Oh, what's the weirdest thing you've ever been asked to make in your tartan?" I'm like, "Well, people ask them for dog things quite a bit. That's kind of a bit weird. But I did do dog collars and whatever." But she was kind of getting, she's like, "Well, I had my mask. In fact, I've got a mask in my pocket right now because I've got these masks from Stripe Designs. If anyone wants masks in the States, you can get them from Stripe Designs, right?"
Yeah, there you go.
So we have a couple of those. We had a little bit of a collaboration on those. But I had that mask on, and she's like, "Yeah, like your mask, it's like Martini Racing." And I'm like, "How do you know about Martini Racing?" So it's very recognizable.
Sure.
Even by someone you may not expect to necessarily be following the F1 or whatever that may be.
Sure. So was there ever a time? I mean, I'm trying to think. I mean, I know it's so funny how your head kind of works in a sense that the Gulf livery, is probably one of the most popular ones, and you kind of automatically associate that to Porsche, or you associate it to the GT40, or but was there ever a time that those manufacturers used a similar type of tartan in their fabrics in their cars?
I've Googled a lot about tartan usage in cars. Lotus have used it, Porsche have used it, Mercedes have used it. They've all kind of used, and I've never been able to find. So I kind of do a little bit of research ahead of kind of releasing a tartan, if you like.
Sure.
Has this tartan ever been used? And they're really, from my knowledge, the ones I have done have never been really applied to any vehicles or such like. So I think touch wood, as we say over here, they're quite unique, and unique to me. I mean, I work by myself, for myself. All of this, like my side hustle, and it's only me that does everything. Do you know what I mean? So it's come out of here because of, I don't know, maybe when I was a kid we had Scalextrics. You guys have Scalextrics in the States, and the little slot car racing.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Right. So I'm sure in like probably 1974, we probably had the Porsche 917s.
Right.
They probably had the Gulf livery. As a kid, when I was a kid, I had so many toy cars. My brother had toy cars, and that's what we played with as small children. And like the Gulf, I mean, in 1970 was like big year, and that's the year I was born. So I think it's just kind of in your DNA almost, isn't it? Like you see these things as a child, and it gets put in the back of your brain, and you recall them, or your inner child probably recalls them down the line. And then some people apply them to maybe tartan, some people may apply them to the colors of a bicycle, but it's just those kind of iconic colors that someone's went and pulled those colors together when they did deliveries and all these different cars, and they probably came at it a number of times to get the right colors and the combinations. The Gulf one's interesting though, because I did research on that, and I forget the name of it. There's a word. So if you Google where the colors came from, and you do a bit of a deeper dive, the colors, the blue and the orangey kind of color, there's an effect that they have. And you read this about the Gulf livery. If those two colors are together, it almost makes the colors do that to each other. So what they did in the Gulf one, it was actually a dark blue line initially, and that stopped that, whatever the word is, that effect happening. So that's how the line kind of came into that design. And obviously I've kind of applied that to mine because I do tartanist lines. So by default, it kind of goes in there. But if you deep dive into this, I mean, it's quite interesting, the design, I guess, behind the liveries,
Yeah, the choice of colors that they've used. I mean, I can see that. I see that a lot. Well, I think that difference like this that you were referring to, I mean, I think it's pretty prevalent in the Martini colors as well. And then, but definitely in the in the Gulf livery colors. The thing is I think that once you get, if you were born in 1970, I'm a good 10 years older than you are. So I think that
you don't look it though.
Thank you.
I've had a hard paper round.
So it's kind of like those colors, kind of like you said, kind of sit in the back of your head and they resonate because they kind of been sitting there. And then when you see them, it just kind of brings back a little bit of an image or just a youthful thought, I guess, more than anything.
Like your t-shirt.
Right. So I've got this, I wore this today because of this, but again, the Steve McQueen, Le Mans movie. I mean, you're engulfed and entrenched in that
Absolutely.
car, in that movie, and it's kind of funny that you brought this up, is that in October here in Southern California, well, Steve McQueen was a for a period of time he lived. I guess his parents. He didn't have like parents all the time, and when he was a young child, he stayed at kind of like a, I don't want to
type homes and
homes for for kids. And and the place is here in Chino, California, which is just maybe 30 miles away from me, and it's called the Boys Republic. So so they have this event that they do, and it's called Friends of Steve McQueen, and it's at the same facility where he was living. So anyway, that's kind of where you definitely see the Gulf livery all over this place when you're going to this event. Let me ask you, have you had an opportunity to go to some of the classic car meetups or events, even like?
No, See, for I think geographically where we have kind of local car shows that happen around here, and some of them are pretty good. But things like the also Le Mans Classic is just been on. I think I would have went to that, but COVID is kind of stopping a lot of travel for people. I had a client who actually bought a pair of Tartanprenuers, like, I don't know, he paid for them maybe 2 years ago. He was going to go and get fitted and get them all, made to measure in Edinburgh. He lives like somewhere in England. He was going to come up and do a special trip. His wife was going to get material, make a dress, and go to all that. And then obviously COVID all happened, and literally everything just stopped, as you know. But yeah, definitely. Well, I'll definitely making an opportunity. When I think for me, I need to generate income before you can finance trips to go to these things.
Sure. No, I get it. No.
So you have to. I'm trying to think. What's the Goodwood Festival down?
Goodwood, down there.
But that's way the other end of the country, so it becomes quite a big trip, and especially if you want to maybe have a stall there or something, it ends up costing a lot of money. So just do it all on the internet.
yeah. Well, that's good. I mean, and how has the exposure been on the internet? How much? I mean, are you seeing a lot of activity? Are you like pulling your hair out because you're so busy with orders, or what?
No, I would like to be So probably the main platform I use is Instagram. So I'm on Instagram quite a lot. But that algorithm, I don't know how to crack that thing, because I have more friends on Facebook than I have on Instagram as followers. It's a tough nut to crack. And I have watched every YouTube video or every guy or girl saying, "Yeah, I can make your Instagram like 5 million people," and I'm like, it doesn't work.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? It really doesn't work. So you have to. I don't know. There must be a trick to getting people to follow you or something. So it's a real tough gig. So what I try and do, obviously, because I'm by myself, I have a day job and a family and a whole bunch of stuff going on. The way I'm trying to approach it is a bit of a social media aspect to it, yes, because I'm normally sitting in my hot tub posting pictures of cars or something like that, So I kind of use that as a fun social outlet, kind of personal, but kind of business. That's kind of where I sit with that. I have a Facebook page as well, but I think people are drifting off of Facebook. So I have that, but what I'm trying to do at the same time is build a distribution, partners. So for me, probably the biggest and best way to get the tartans out there, in volume, is to have distribution partners that get the tartans sold on. Because I don't have the time to sit on a phone and phone. So fortunately, I have, it's only me, we have got Relicate in the States. So they look after North America. So obviously America and Canada. And, anywhere else kind of that side of the world, they take care of that. So they're all stocked up. We have Retro Autotech.
What was that name again? Who are they in the States?
Relicate. So they're up in New York State. So they're like the guys in the States that have my material. People can still come. People actually like sometimes to come to the source, the designer person. They kind of like that. And I will always reply messages and have a bit of, chat and banter with people and whatnot. In fact, I replied to a guy from my hot tub last night on email. I'm like, I don't have my glasses. I'm in my hot tub. I don't know what I've written to you, but if you want to buy some material, that's cool, But he's in England, so I'm going to deal with that guy myself. We also have Retro Autotech, who are in Australia, Sydney, Australia, and he's taking care of Australia and New Zealand. And again, anywhere in that kind of region, really, it makes sense if they go. It's going to be cost for shipping is less, and etc. And then was it yesterday? I'm lost with the days now. It's either yesterday or the day before. I brought on a European company. They had the material is on its way to them now as we speak. It's with FedEx on its way there. So they will take care of Europe and countries just beyond Europe a little bit. It's real difficult we had Brexit here. I won't talk politics because it's just so boring. But when we had the European Union and the UK were all together once upon a time, and you could ship goods around. It was all great, free trade, blah blah blah. Then Brexit happened. Now for me to ship stuff to Holland or Belgium or whatever, there's so many taxes involved, and VAT gets added, etc., etc. It becomes it's less of a viable business to be shipping stuff to Europe. So my idea was I need to get a European distribution guy on, which is happening now. So that's good. They've bought a whole bunch of material, which I'll reinvest, get my trip to LA out of that money, do a bit of networking there. So it's really for me is building that kind of network of distribution guys who will sell the material. The material's got the most profit. It makes sense. That's what we do, But hey, people can still come to me if they want to, and maybe they have their own little project they want to do or something. But so I'll just keep reinvesting and bringing more tartans out and just keep on keeping on, as they say.
So many of the products that you have on your website, and for those out there, the website is solm.co.uk. So for those of you that want to go on and just check it out, by all means, go on there. And the products that you're showing there, are those all made in Scotland, and then they ship them up?
Yeah. So when we say we, it's me, right?
Yeah.
I don't make the product. So I have a friend of mine on Facebook. So what I want to do was have the material. Yeah, that's great. Have some products. So retail, maybe some of them are a little bit more high end, because it costs a lot of money to make stuff in the UK. So I have this friend, and she has her own little bag business, and she was making lovely bags. I'll say hi to Rachel because she'll probably watch this back. And she's really, her craftsmanship craftswomanship, it's really, really good. And she makes these tote bags and sunglasses.
They're lovely, yeah, they're great.
The quality is really, really good. I have a bunch in my house that I end up kind of giving them away to people quite often because it's nice to give stuff to people. I probably won't make the best business guy in the world because I'm like, hey, do you want a bag? Here, have a bag. So I've given a few people off to different people, but it's good to get them out there. But so she makes all that stuff in Scotland. We have the scarves. I had a batch of 60 scarves that were made. They were quite big scarves. That was a one-off batch by the guy that made the first tweed that I got. I talked to him and he's like, "Could you do some scarves? I want to get some scarves." Small batch, because obviously I'm paying for myself. So we did a batch of 60. They were really popular because there was only 60 of them. They'll not be done again. So I kept one for myself, and anyone who has them, you've scored because they're not going to get made again. But there's another, and they got some Selkirk again, but there's a larger mill around the corner from him who they're, I guess, higher volume type work that they do. So the martini scarf that you'll see, that was made, I bought 180 as the minimum order quantity. So I bought 180 of those. I still have a bunch left because they came in a little bit too late for winter last year. Yeah. So obviously as soon as summer comes, no one buys scarves, right?
Sure.
But what I've done is I ordered another 180, but in the Gulf colors. So it's the same as a lamb's wool scarf. So that's a good, it's quite an easy hit to do. It costs quite a bit of money to buy them, but you can buy quite high-ish volume for an individual, and then you have a good product offering. I have the labels I just designed myself, nice and simple. So you pull the labels together, package it up, they send them to me, they go on the website. So you'll see those, I think next month, September, those other scarves will come just in time for winter time. So maybe do some offers with a 2-pack or whatever. But yeah, it's nice. It's just nice to see. Mostly it's friends. So people on Facebook will pop up and they'll have a face mask on or something. And I'm like, that's my tartan, or I'll be walking somewhere, or a friend of mine will be in a pub, and it happens in Aberdeen to 2 people that I know independently. One guy goes to this other guy, is that a spill of them on face mask you're wearing? So it's getting around, and that at the minute as a fledgling kind of company side hustle, if you like, it's nice to see that kind of. It's every one of those is like a little win, It's like a little pat on the back to myself.
Oh, of course, yes.
So I quite like it. It's quite I don't know. It's just a bit of a boost, isn't it? When you make something that somebody else likes.
Of course. No, I could only imagine.
If you can sell it, it's even better.
So, Andy, let me ask you, so this is kind of like your side job here doing this. What's your daytime job? What do you normally do?
So I'm a 3D CAD designer or mechanical engineer, if you like. So typically I have, in my career, worked in the oil and gas industry because Aberdeen is a real big oil and gas place. Maybe not forever because oil and gas is on its way out and batteries are coming in. Sure. So you might see me doing renewables down the line. I currently work for a big defense company. So I it's all 3D kind of CAD work that I do, which is great. I mean, it's a good, it's a good kind of design outlet to do for a day job. And it's good because it complements what I do in the tartan side of things a little bit, because you have a good eye for detail. So if I get a bag that's maybe not right, I'll say to Rachel, this little bit here not quite right or something. So it's good to have that attention to detail. If you're going to sell something on to somebody else, the chances are they may spot this, whatever the thing may be. So they kind of work quite well together. My day job's a 4-day-a-week compressed working week from home, which is great. That leaves me a Friday generally to kind of, have a bit of focus on the tartan stuff. So it's very difficult to keep the two separate, which you have to do, right? Because someone's paying your wages over here. Sure. You can't be like, I'm just going to design a quick tartan and, on the company's dime. You can't do that. So you have to really, put that to one side. Maybe in the evenings you might do some Instagramming or whatever it is you do, So, but it's good. It's a bit of a juggling act, but it's fun, and it's kind of, they're both rewarding in different ways. One brings in a salary and one brings in some extra pleasure, Sure. So it's good. Yeah.
So from the States here, have you had any manufacturers or anybody kind of reach out to you about, hey, I want volume or I want bulk?
No, that would be a nice call to get. That's for sure.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
But there is, for an example, I got some sample umbrellas made, right? You might see them on my Instagram, and they look amazing. The quality is really, really good. Made in London by a really, really old umbrella company called Ints. You'll probably be watching this as well. But to get an umbrella in volume in the UK made and shipped to the States, for example, it's a real expensive process. So we're trying to find one that's maybe a bit more affordable. But, as you look ahead, America is a real focus for me because, a lot of Scots obviously left this country in the clearances, moved to America and settled there. There's a lot of, Scottish or Celtic descendants live there. And, Americans really like tartan and plaid. So down the line, absolutely, if I could get someone that could, manufacture stuff in the States, it will make it an easier place to sit, I have looked at, there was a mill, I forget what it's called. There was a mill that does do stuff, but their minimum orders are quite high. So we're not at that stage yet to reinvest to do that. The company called Pendleton as well. They do a lot of kind of, you've heard of those guys?
Oh, sure, yeah.
They do a lot of really nice stuff as well. Like they have the roll-up blankets and that kind of stuff. Yeah. So I can see the tartan roll-up blanket stuck in the back of a Porsche somewhere.
Oh, sure.
It would have to be made in America to make it affordable, and we'll get to that
here.
Yeah, well, absolutely, we'll get to that one. Maybe I need to go and get an investor or something. But I work for the man Monday to Thursday. I don't really want to work for the man on the Friday as well. It's
Well,
it's a nice place to be working for yourself, right?
Yeah.
You do the same kind of stuff. So it's,
Yeah, I mean, and it has its pros and cons. Don't think. I
Mm.
mean, obviously, me doing the podcast and what have you is basically, for fun, because I'm an I'm a car fanatic and a car nut, and I love the auto space. But yeah, I mean, my regular, I'm in the insurance industry, and I use this as a platform to kind of promote the insurance aspect of my of what I do on my daily.
And what's that called? What's that called for the listeners?
The insurance agency is called Arango Insurance Services, and we'll be putting in a little plug in this broadcast somewhere in here down the road. But thank you for bringing that up.
That's quite all right. That's $5 you owe me.
Yeah, exactly. I owe you $5 now. But yeah, so yeah, I mean, it is kind of funny because you hit a point where you wanna kind of, you want to work at something that you really enjoy doing. Not that you don't enjoy your day job, but but you can, if you can do what you're doing and make money at what you're doing, that's gravy on top of everything. And
absolutely.
And I think this is my humble opinion, but I think you're kind of hitting a chord here with what you're producing, because as so many of us guys are getting to this, and gals are getting to this point in our lives, this is something that's reminiscing of our youth. So I think that really kind of calls to it. And my wife has golf livery shoes that she wears. It's funny.
Does she want a matching handbag?
Yeah, I know. I should get her the matching handbag.
I'll send you a scarf. It's like, we'll get her totally kitted out head to toe.
And get her covered up. Yeah, exactly. So it's kind of funny because we have an array of shows here, that, on the weekends, if, cars and coffee type things and what have you. And she'll usually, when we go together, she'll be wearing her golf livery shoes. And every time she does, somebody will stop her and say, I need to take a picture of your feet next to this car. And
can I have a selfie next to you for Instagram for your shoes?
Next to your feet. So it's kind of funny. So what what would be your next, like right now, what would be your next step in the process of this business? Is it to just kind of concentrate on the website and get more online orders, or I mean, what would be what you would like to see next?
I'll tell you, if I was to look a bit longer than just next, well, what I want to see, ultimately what I want to see is my tartan in cars, on people, wearing bags, whatever, around the world. That would be amazing to see that. What I would really like to see is some really high-end car manufacturers adopting it. So if Radford are watching this, I'm chipping away at Radford all the time on Instagram, or Porsche. So companies that are, or Singer, or, Gunther Works, or all these kind of higher end kind of guys. I would love to see one of those adopt at least one of the tartans for a client. So for a client who's maybe watching this, who's going to go to, is it Kalmar? One of my friends on Facebook, they're just doing a new kind of Porsche business in Europe. For one of their clients to say, I really like this tartan stuff. Let's get it in my car. Singer do a lot of the leather weave on their seats. Yeah. So I can almost see one of my tartans woven. I have made inquiries, woven into that leather weave pattern. I think that would be amazing in like a Singer vehicle. Maybe when I get across to LA, I'm going to knock on their door and say, they've got samples. I'll just be knocking on their door saying, I've traveled all the way from Scotland. Please put some of this in your car. Well, so that would be that.
I'll tell you, I went 2 weekends ago, or 2 weeks ago, Friday. I went to I was up in Monterey, California, to the Rolex historic races, or the Monterey historic races.
Okay.
I guess they're called WeatherTech now or something. I don't remember exactly. So, I mean, that would be such an event for your product to be displayed and seen there. I don't know if you're familiar with that event or not.
You know, I see some of the stuff on. Obviously, I follow a bunch of the like journalist types, so the Johnny Liebermans and the Hannah Ellis. I follow all those kind of people on Instagram, and I see they're all up at Quail, or they're all Laguna Seca or whatever.
Laguna
all these places.
Seca, that's exactly Quail, all that area. Yeah,
and I'm just watching it from like 5,500 miles away, thinking, I've got to get myself over there. I visit the States every year, pretty much to visit my buddy who's in Austin. So I'm going to try and get. He's lived in San Francisco and Boston, and I always go and see wherever he lives. I end up going to visit, so I'm always in America, at least once a year. And LA it's on my to-do list. Late November, hopefully. What I need to do is a bit of research for when I'm going to come, what window, if I can travel. That is with the COVID and all that stuff. Try and find out when I'm there. Obviously, I'll go to the Good Vibes Breakfast Club with those guys. I'm going to be going up the crest. I'll maybe take your vest with you. Let me. I don't know if it'd make it up the hills.
Yeah, I don't know if it'll make it up the hills. It was pretty steep. Hey, and that was great. I have to give you kudos to you for. I had seen that on on Instagram and what have you, and I had just not really put two and two together to go there. And then it was funny. You and I chatted back and forth, and you said, "Oh yeah, go to the the Good Vibe Breakfast Club." And that next Friday, I drove up there.
You did
figured it out.
And your car fitted in great. Your car looks awesome up there.
Thank you. So I mean, it was. I was like, wow, this was great. And that journalist Lieberman was there. He had
was that the Pagani? Was that a Pagani or something he had?
Pagani. He was in the Pagani. Yeah, he was.
Yeah, I saw photographs of that.
Yeah, he was up there with a Pagani. And and you don't know who you're gonna run into. Matt Farrar. I don't know if you know who Matt Farrar is.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of his. Yeah, I actually tried to do him a tartan for his. If you ever meet him, you'll probably go, "Oh, that guy from Scotland." He was doing his safari build, and the guy Lee Keen was doing the build for him. So he's got the I forget the name, the color of his car is just out of my head. Anyway, he was doing this safari build, and I'm like, "Hey, I'm a fan. Would you like some tartan?" So I was like trying to design him a tartan, right? So I'm sending him pictures of like some real wild colors, and I'm just sitting in that Mac down in Glasgow by myself, banging out. And he's like replying me, "Dude, I'm colorblind." I'm like, "Oh my goodness." Well, that's not going to work then, is it? So they eventually in that car, cassis red. The color of the car is cassis red. It's a bit of a pinky kind of cassis red. It's lovely. Red. But he ended up putting in, like an LA bus seat. They have the pattern on those bus seats, so that if somebody vomits on it, you don't notice, right? Yeah. So he did that, and I'm like, that looks hideous. I love it, because it was so bad. It's good, So that's why he did that. But so I've listened to his podcast for. I normally put it on at work, put it in, just have it in the background, and just like listen away, and he's doing well.
Yeah, he's doing very well. He has a thing called Smoking Tires, and his podcast, and I believe he also had started a automotive storage facility where
Westside Collectors. Is it Westside Collectors car?
Something like that. Yeah. Jeez, you know more about it.
Expanded that. So
yeah, he's growing.
My finger is on the pulse. Yeah, I did notice the other day. Yeah, he's like got something like a second unit or something. Yeah. So I followed the build of all that as it was going along through social media, and it's just like it's kind of good because I've watched him. I've not known him forever. I don't really know him, but I've watched him for an amount of time when he's doing the Smoking Tire since he's been in LA, and I think what he's doing is really good because unlike all the other kind of YouTuber type influencer kind of people that are out in the world who don't really have a thing, he's actually is building a thing. Do you know? He's he's taken, he's reinvesting to build this bigger business with and his dad's was real high up in Tiffany's and Foot Locker and all these places. So he also has some business acumen that's came down the gene pool from his dad, and he's reinvested it all, and I think he's doing great, and he's obviously is in the mix of it all, and he knows what's going on. He knows what people want to have, So so hats off to him.
Yeah, When I went up to Good Vibes Breakfast Club up at up Angeles Crest Highway, he was up there. He was up there that day, and he had um a Ferrari 328 that he had, a black one. He said, and he told me that it looked flawless, and the paint job was like 10 years old and what have you. So I mean, so you just don't know who you're gonna run into up there, or who you're gonna get. If
Magnus Walker's up there all the time.
Yeah, as well. Magnus Walker up there and all his cars and what have you. And Lotus just came out with this 62 car.
The Radford guys.
Yeah, the Radford guys, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, was there any communication between you guys and them on that?
I actually Anstead does TV. Did so he did car shows here in the UK, right?
Right.
With another kind of a famous kind of actor guy, real kind of who does another like 70s based show and stuff like that. So I kind of know him when he went to Wheeler Dealers, which I've watched for years.
Sure.
So I follow all these kind of car shows. And on one of his posts, I think it was maybe after he had built the Alfa Romeo race car that he built himself. So I watched that show. In fact, he recommended it through a social media post. He's like, yeah, go and check this out. I'm like, well, I will check that out. And by the way, I do tartan. And he just like, email me, and like, 'cause I've got a side project and tartan, blah, blah. So I emailed him like, oh, please. Never heard back. So, but I'll keep chipping away at him. And like I say, if I get to LA, I'll try and visit Radford guys, because I think what they're doing is pretty phenomenal.
Yeah.
Okay, say it. I used to have a Lotus Elise, so I'm kind of the Lotus kind of brand. So when I did my car apps, I had a Lotus Elise, right? I sold that to fund the apps, or part fund the apps. And when I did it, I'm like, this is like 7 or 8 years ago. I'm like, right, I'm going to sell this car. I'm going to invest in apps. I'm going to make more money, and I'm going to buy a Lotus Evora. That was the kind of plan.
Yeah.
Fast forward like 7 years, I don't even have a decent car now. I have to ride vintage scooters because I can't afford the cars. You know, it's all about persistence, right? You got to just keep at it, and eventually something will work. So yeah, so definitely chip away at those guys. The material that I sell predominantly right now is that polyvisco stuff. I think they would look for a bit of a more high end material.
Sure.
So probably pure wool. I'm going to get some wool stuff done, because I might get some kilts made for guys across here. So, a higher quality car, if you like, or a higher, level brand, they're going to want kind of more exotic materials. And it's quite hard to compete against real nice leather or leather weave, but there's a gap somewhere. I just have to find it and jump in with both feet.
Well, it's kind of funny you mention Anston, because he basically lives within like 15 miles of me, and we have on Sundays. Well, I don't think it's as prevalent as it wasn't a couple years ago when he first came to the States with Mike Brewer to do Wheeler Dealer out of Southern California, which was right here in my town in Huntington Beach, where they did it. He was living over here right before he got married to the Christina girl, and there's a little car show here that's called the Balboa Car Show in Newport Beach on Sunday mornings early, really kind of low key. Nobody really kind of knows about it, just a couple, but these guys would always come and kind of hang out. So I'd run into him there every once in a while. And then I have a little story I just need to tell you, which I think was kind of funny. It just happened the other day. So my son and I went up to Monterey, which is 500 miles away from here. And I'm driving my little 50-year-old Alpha, and how I'm sure you've been to California, how hot it can get in the summertime.
Yeah.
Mostly inland. So we're driving back from Monterey. I'm on the 101 freeway out here inland. It was like 104 degrees, no air conditioning. I had the vinyl top up because I couldn't, I'm not going to take that sun beam down on me. The windows are down. We're flying. We're just kind of, in this little car, it's kind of like at 70 miles an hour. So flying down the freeway, and I'm looking in my rear view mirror, and I see this blue very sporty car just right on my butt and starts getting a little closer and getting a little closer and getting a little closer. And I'm watching for like what felt like 5 or 10 minutes. This car was just right on my butt, just right behind me. And I asked my son, I go, what car is that? What, brand? And he goes, I think it's a Lotus Evora, he says. Yeah. And I go, huh? And sure enough, as we were talking, the car starts kind of getting closer to me, and it comes right up to me on the side. And the guy rolls down the windows, a guy in the car, and he's going like this, all smiles, and it's Aunt Anston. Oh, yeah? Right? It is. So he's sitting there waving, giving me the thumbs up, and he's yelling across to me. He's like, and it didn't register. I just thought it was a guy just waving at me, right? So it didn't register. Like that. Yeah. And he's like, how's the car doing? Because he knows it's an Alfa Romeo and it's old. And you're right? Like, are you a mechanic? I know. So I just kind of go, it's doing good. And then it dawned on me, oh shit, it's that guy. Right. Yeah. And sure enough, and he's like, we've been watching you and keeping an eye on. Well, he's dating Bridget Jones now, Is he really? Yeah, he's dating the Renee Zellweger girl. Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah. So and she was driving the car. And then he was like, we've been watching you, making sure you're okay. Are you, how's it? I go, beside it being really hot, I'm yelling at him, beside it being really hot, we're fine. And he goes, okay, well, let me give you some cold air from the inside this Lotus. And he starts going like that. I'm like, thanks. And then he takes off. But that was kind of like my little, that made my day, to be honest, for the drive. Yeah. So it was kind of, so then I took a picture of him. But I don't know how to get in contact with him. I put it on Instagram and sent it to him, but I didn't hear anything back. But yeah, I think he's getting so popular now. His inbox is probably so full. Oh, he's not going to pick up anything anymore. He's doing really well. He moved across for the Wheel of Dealers thing. He's going up all the time, isn't he? So fair play to him. And he is a good guy. He's an approachable, friendly guy. So that makes it even that much better. So absolutely. So why don't you, if somebody wants to reach you guys here from the States or something, what's the best way to reach you? I would probably say Instagram DM. Okay. Probably. Okay. They can find me on Facebook, Andy Clegg. They can just come and find me. I think you're like 5,000 friends on Facebook. I've got 2,500. There's space for more. Come and come and ping me a message. It's fine. It's okay. Well, I will check you out first though. I vet everybody. Delete. You've got a nice car. Okay, you're in. But yeah. So and what? If they forget anything, just go #SOLM and they'll find me somehow. Do you know what I mean? I'm not that hard to find. And then on Instagram, how do they find you under your name? So again, you can search #SOLM or just SOLM. It'll find me. The actual kind of handle is spirit_. I have to think this out. Spirit_of_le_mans. So you just have to split it with the under bars there. But yeah, they just search Som. They'll find me. It's only me. It's not difficult to find me. Yeah. They can call me on my cell phone. That's fine. Okay, good. That's great. And plus everybody, again, back to his website. The website is, I assume, www.solm.co.uk. Yep. To reach UK. Yep. Don't forget the co.uk at the end. Don't go .com because you'll go somewhere entirely different. Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, so don't do .com. You're not going to get it. And I'll tell you. How did you do the website? Just now, I'm just being curious. Is that what you ask away? Well, what I did first of all was because I do everything myself. Initially, I built a Wix website by myself, and again, I just working away from. I just did it, made it myself. Thought, yeah, that's fine, and I got it working, and it was taking orders, did quite well. But it wasn't really professionally enough. So a friend of mine locally here,
he has his own kind of branding, printing, design type company. So I'll give them a shout out, CP and Co. They could probably do worldwide stuff. Philip's a really good guy. The guys that work for him are really good. So I went to those guys and said, look, I want to get from Wix and I want to go to Shopify so that in the future it's more expandable than the Wix. Right? The Wix is good to get you going. So they did a transition and we got some, images and whatever. They kind of built the site. Now I kind of more administer the site myself, but they're still on hand if I have a problem or something doesn't work. But yes, all these little things are little learning curves. But when you're by yourself, it's like one-man band when you got a guitar and some cymbals and a drum on your back. Yeah. That's me. And I've got a day job over here somewhere. So, but it's fun. It keeps you entertained, and there's always someone that you can call on if you get in trouble or you want to, get out of trouble with something. There's always people, friends in sport around. It's fine.
And you mentioned earlier, I think you said you wanted to give a shout out to Rachel.
Oh yeah, Rachel Brown, the lady that makes the bags. So she has her own little company, the Scottish Bag Co. that she does a lot of stuff. So she hand makes all of the products, apart from things that are either the woven material or the scarves, which are more, larger batch produced stuff. But anything that is made. So if someone comes to me and say, I like that tote bag, they place an order. I don't have them lying around in stock. That bag is made to order. So Rachel will get that and she will fit that in. So I guess you would call them boutique bags. That's kind of made to order. So if someone wants a bag that has a larger inside pocket or something, they can come and just say, hey, because they're not cheap bags. So I'm sure we could accommodate some changes or whatever, just get in touch and, you'll see there's a few tote bags going around. I've got a few lady friends around Los Angeles that have these bags. So you'll see them around, car events
and things like that.
One of my brollies is there as well. So you see a brolly around Elliot car events and stuff. I'm sure, just getting the tartan out there as much as I can do,
Yeah. I mean, and that's when somebody goes, man, I want one of those things. Where'd you get it? And you got to go all the way over to get it. So
you got to go to Scotland.
It's got to go to Scotland to get it. All right, Andy, I appreciate your time today, man. Thank you for staying up. Thank you for sitting out in the garage. Is it cold? Do you have a jacket? Because I'm in.
Do you know, I'm just back from that soccer game, and the temperature here is starting to drop a little bit. Obviously, it's evening, but it's late night now as well. So it is a little bit cooler than normal. Our summer's kind of tailing off now. But to be honest with you, I quite like hanging out in the garage because I've got 3 vintage scooters here. I've got my race seat, and
Well, hey, before we hang up, show me your scooters. Can you turn the camera around?
Do you want to see? I'm on a tripod, so I'm going to just try and carry it. See if you can see my Gulf livery.
Oh, yeah. There it is. The
1964 Lambretta.
Lambretta, yeah.
1999 Vespa. I'll just flip over here a little bit. My garage is, excuse me. Well, I just managed myself here. My garage is a little bit of a mess. And this is my latest edition here. Can you see that one there?
Was that an SS?
So it's a GT. It's a 1967 GT. It has I guess I don't know what you call it, a souped up or a bit of a fancy. It's got a T5 engine, a Vespa T5 engine that has been tuned. So it kind of is a bit like VTEC when you ride that thing.
Wow.
So through the town, it's terrible, rides really badly. But when you get out in the open road, it kind of goes quite quick. So, for something with 10-inch wheels, it's pretty quick.
What CC engine is that?
Officially, it's a 125.
Oh, okay.
It may be a little bit bigger than that now.
Is it a small frame? Is it a small frame bike?
Yeah, that one is.
That one's a small frame bike.
Yeah, so that's pretty small. It's hard. It's kind of hard to tell which one's my favorite, though. To be honest with you, what was supposed to happen was I bought a Vespa to commute to work, right, 15 miles away, and then the Gulf-colored Lambretta came up on a scooter forum. I'm like, oh, I need to buy that. So I said to my wife, "Don't tell her; she might watch this. I'm going to buy the Lambretta, but I'll sell the Vespa, so I only have one." Fast forward now, I have 3, and I just can't sell them because nobody wants to buy them.
Well, that's kind of the thing. I know that I can't get rid of mine, and I'm scared. My wife's watching me like a hawk. If I buy anything else and put it in here, she'll kill me.
Yeah. But, that's good. What is that?
I know.
What is it? Is that a GL GT or?
It's a GL. It's a 63 GL, but it has the same
headlamp
like yours. So it has the same trapezoidal headlight on the front there. But yeah, this is nice. This is good. This has got some nice little get up and go. So
And do you ride it? Do you take it out regularly?
Not as much as I should. You know, I used to ride it when I used to go to a place to go work, right? I used to work about 6 miles away, and I would ride it when the weather was nice. I would ride it. But now, you know, I'm working from home, so, you know, I don't get much of an opportunity of doing that.
Yeah, me too. I work from home, but on a Friday, on my tartan day, if the weather's good, I come into the garage and like go 1 potato, 2 potatoes, 3 potatoes. Right, you're coming out with me, and you know, whichever one needs fuel, I'll just take that out.
So take it out. Yeah,
we have some, because I'm outside of the city of Aberdeen, so I'm like in the countryside. So literally, I leave my town here, and I'm on little what they call B roads and C roads here, real single track roads if I want to be. So it's kind of nice. It's kind of, the scenery's nice. We've got malt whiskey country is not far from me here.
Oh, wow.
So I can jump on my bike and I'm in the hills. I'm going across to where they make malt whiskeys. So it's a wonderful place to live and, you know, ride scooters and bikes and cars. I just need to get a Porsche. That's what that's what I need to get.
Yeah,
so if Porsche are watching this, would be nice. They could just lend me one even. I'll take it.
Just lend Andy a Porsche. He will have the seats covered when he gives them back to you. He'll have the seats covered. All right, Andy, thank you so much, man, for your time.
Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, and when you come into California, you know, you need to reach out so that maybe we can connect, and we'll stay in touch.
Good Vibes Breakfast Club. We'll go up there on a Friday. Yeah, that's what we'll do.
Yeah, we definitely will. All right, take it easy, man.
Cheers, man. See you later.
All right,
bye.
See ya.